All right, everybody, welcome back to the channel. And today we've got a really cool video that I think can truthfully help out anyone with contact. What are some of the things that we see displayed out of the best players in the world, especially with how the golf club is interacting with the golf ball and the turf? I think this is by far This is almost a fundamental in what I see out of really good players that strike the golf ball solidly and control where the contact point is on the club face. So if you're the player that struggles with how the golf club gets into the turf, the depth that it gets into the turf, whether it gets into the turf or not at all, this is a video that you're going to want to stick around for. So here's how I would explain this, and here's where I would start. If we look at, I think, the lead arm and the golf club in this relationship and how these two pieces work together throughout our motion, the body's also important, but we're going to talk about the lead arm and the golf club today. How these two pieces work with each other is huge. What I see out of far too many players right here is they'll make this really good backswing right here. And what we start to see from it is we start to see accelerations from the wrong point. We start to see the golf club accelerating at a higher rate than what the arms are moving. Now, this is a very difficult skill, I would say, also in golf, to be able to teach and also to be able to feel. Here's my way that I would do it. So if we visualized this right here to start, the arm, if I swing this at the same speed and I just move this around me, this would be like operating inside of a single pendulum model. Here's skill number one, I would say, for becoming a good ball striker. Can I take the shoulder, the arm, the hand, and the golf club, and can I move this at a ratio of 1-to-1. I think being able to understand how we do this and the tempo and the speed most importantly that we do this at, builds a lot of awareness for how the golf club right here travels three-dimensionally around us. Now, I know the very first question that I'm going to get is, everybody says that we need to hinge the golf club. Yes, we do. That would be helping us to create more angular momentum, which is going to help us to create more speed. We're going to get to that eventually. Here's where I would start. Firstly, if you can stand up here, allow the golf club right here just to work around this shoulder joint and see if you can get the arm, the hand, and the golf club to move at a 1-to-1 ratio. If it doesn't work at a 1-to-1 ratio, this is what it's going to look like. It's going to be everywhere. And we look at a lot of golf swings that have everything everywhere. They kind of do something like that. So understanding how these two pieces right here work together around the spine and around the shoulder joint, I think is a very, very important skill. Here's the first piece that I would start with. Imagine you're pitching or chipping, but we don't get to actually bend the wrist, okay? So we're gonna say the arm and the golf club right here are just going to swing at a 1-to-1 ratio. And all I'm gonna start off doing is I'm just gonna brush the ground. I'm gonna take that right there and I'm gonna move that into the golf ball. And I'm not gonna try and move my body backwards. I'm not gonna try and move it forwards. I'm just gonna move the arm and the club at a 1-to-1 ratio. There's where that would start. I will help you guys out and I'll tell you this, that was a little thin, to be expected. We haven't gotten through this whole phase yet. So if I do this again, left arm and the golf club are 1-to-1. Same thing, that golf ball was a little bit thin. So what we're learning to do here now is we're keeping the golf club on a more consistent arc, just by learning to go backwards and forwards at a 1-to-1 ratio. Now, once we understand that this circle is on a consistent arc, here's how we can start to make this perform to where we can compress it and create a little bit of a divot. So if this circle right here, which you can see from down the line, if I work this around me, this is going to work back to the exact same point. Now, if I work this around me and I take a step forward, that circle is going to be working more outward and also more forward. That's going to help us hit the inner quadrant of the golf ball, and it's also going to help us to create a divot. So all I'm going to add right here from face on is now I'm going to go 1-to-1 ratio, pressure moves forward. You can see pressure moving forward, not my whole entire body moving forward. Just a little bit of pressure moving forward. So I'm going to go arms, arms, pressure forward. One more time. Arms and club together, pressure forward. You can see how that now created a divot, and it also created a divot in front of the golf ball. So we're going to give this a go. Let's see if this creates a divot. So arms and club together at a 1-to-1 ratio, pressure forward. So now we can see I had more interaction right there with the ground, keeping the arm and the golf club at what feels like a 1-to-1 ratio. And I had a horizontal movement that helped me catch the inner quadrant of the golf ball, and it also helped me to create more of a divot. This right here, I think, is a very important skill for consistency in striking the golf ball. So arms and golf club together at a 1-to-1 ratio, pressure forward. Now we can see how that helped move the golf club into the turf and also forward. We'll do that with a ball now. Arms and golf club together, pressure forward. The same thing. I had really good compression. I could feel the downward strike there of the golf shot. The golf club got into the turf, which helped me hit it higher on the face. That's going to help us to create rise. Now, we've got to start to turn this into more of a motion, because if all I do is just continue to move forward, eventually this is going to get too steep. So we have to be able to manage getting the club into the turf and also getting it out of the turf right here, okay? Here's the way that I would do it, and here's my most simplistic process that I think I could give to everybody. We're gonna call this glide, glide, and we're gonna follow the golf club. So 1-to-1 ratio, we're gonna glide it back along the turf, pressure forward, follow. Glide, glide, pressure forward, and I'm just going to follow it. So from this angle right here, from face on, if you can see this, I'm going to be following the golf club, which means I'm going to be taking the center of my body, the buttons on my shirt and my belt buckle, and I'm going to follow the golf club. So you can see how I'm following the golf club this way, keeping the arm and the golf club together at a 1-to-1 ratio. So this is going to help me manage the outward side of the divot, how we're going to get it into the turf and how we're going to get it out of the turf, moving us into what we would call spine extension. Let's give this a go. Glide, glide, pressure forward, follow, then we'll give it a go. And that right there was absolutely perfect contact. Notice right here, I'm going at a slower pace so that I can build awareness of how the arm and the golf club feel like they are working more together at a 1-to-1 ratio. This is never actually going to be at a 1-to-1 ratio, but I think this is a great place for those of you that struggle with tempo. The golf club's going every which direction, and it gives us a starting place that we can build on to create a fuller motion and a fuller golf swing. So let's do this again. We're gonna go glide, so arms and club together, glide, glide, pressure forward and follow the golf club with our belt buckle and the center of our chest. Let's give it a go. Glide, glide, follow. That was, same thing, was absolutely a phenomenal strike. And as we get more comfortable with this, we can start to move this ratio at a faster rate. But I think firstly we need to find out, how do we actually move this at a ratio that we can actually feel? So I'm gonna go glide, glide, follow at a faster rate, and let's see what the golf ball does. That right there was about as straight of a golf ball as I could hit. Probably went another 50 yards in distance. And all I did is I took that same relationship, that 1-to-1 ratio, lengthened it, moved it a little bit faster, but I maintained that ratio, and then I tried to feel like all I was doing is following the golf club. Eventually we'll want it to lead, but I think I would start with just following it. So there's a really great way, very simplistic way to look at the golf swing, understand your feels and how the arm and the golf club are working together, and how we can get that to turn into eventually part of our motion. I think this is a great building block for anybody out there that struggles with consistency. So give that a go. Let me know if you have any questions. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time. I hope you enjoyed this video here. If you haven't, please click that subscribe button. You can also click the bell right there, and that's going to notify you every time that I release a new YouTube video. Also, if you haven't, check out that last video that I did. It's right here, pinned to the screen. Thank you so much for your support. I really do appreciate you watching. If you have any questions, any comments, please leave those below, and I will make sure I get back to each and every one of you. So thank you again. Appreciate your support. We'll see you next time.